Get ready to find your recipe for a successful real estate lifestyle from America's top expert here at Greenlight REI with your host, Lance Edwards.
Well, hello everyone. Hi, it's Lance Edwards. Welcome to this episode of Greenlight REI. This is where we teach you the successful real estate lifestyle. And we got a great guest for this episode today. This is Mr. Zach Beach. And Zach is actually, interestingly, son-in-law of Chris Prefontaine, who we had a great podcast with Chris in the past. And the distinction here is Zach's a lot younger than Chris, and he has hit the ground running. Let me tell you a little bit of his background, because this is going to be very impressive no matter what age you are, and especially for those who are looking to get started, and even if those who've been doing some deals and want to go to the next level. Chris is a young fella, grew up in New England area. And I guess until recently, he was bartending, making a living, trying to decide what to do with his life, and was burning the candle at both ends, working it hard, like we all can relate to that. And he decided that at age 25, say, boy, that's a young age. Boy, at age 25, he decided to jump in the family real estate business. He felt it was one of the first big risk he ever took in his life, although I'm not sure what the risk was compared to bartending, but I will let that come out in the story. Nothing was guaranteed, as I'm sure everything was guaranteed in that bartending gig. Plus, he knew absolutely nothing about real estate, and through hard work, in-house training, and just doing it, he's now completed over 100 deals and growing. So for everyone listening, what's your excuse? So we're going to be talking to Zach about that process and what he's doing. So, Zach, welcome to Greenlight REI.
Thanks, Lance. I very much appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited to bring your audience as much value as I possibly can. So, again, thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. All right, so let's start off. So you were bartending, trying to, I suppose, maybe figure out what to do in your life, and you decided to get started in real estate investing. So, you know, in the bio, I talked about you felt that was a risk. What were you feeling at the time? Why did you feel that was a risk to make that leap?
Yeah, so definitely mindset, right? I knew bartending. I was a bartender and actually personal trained as well, and so I was used to almost working for dollars. Working hourly, you're getting paid. I knew if I showed up for a shift as a bartender, I could pretty much tell you how much I was going to make that night. Plus, when I decided to join Chris and my brother-in-law, it was a small business. We were actually doing a decent amount of deals at the time, but it wasn't like, hey, Zach, you're going to come over, you're going to get a salary, you'll figure this out. I knew absolutely nothing about real estate at all. I just knew it was better than what I was doing. So risk in my mind is something brand new and then nothing guaranteed. So, we still split all of our deals, and that's how we all make money. So I really had to learn how to do the business pretty quick if I wanted to get paid. Excellent.
So I'm going to come back to mindset, because I love that poster I see in the background, that mindset is everything, which, God, I wish I'd known that at 25 or 26 or 20-something years old. We'll come back to that. So in the talk about the family business. So what kind of deals are you guys do? And I know you do a lot of terms. Let's talk about the family business, what your niche is.
Yeah, so we primarily focus on buying properties on terms, as you mentioned. So it tends to fall in about three categories, which is lease purchase or rent to own. You got subject to deals, so buying the property subject to the existing loan, and we have owner financing deals, which are definitely my favorite. So it falls in right in between those three categories, but our main focus is to put little to no money down and craft up long terms in order to create what we call our 3 paydays, which we can go into that too as well.
Well, let's talk about that. So so you're buying a property on terms, either lease purchase or owner financing with little to no down payment. So you've got virtually no cash in it or very little cash. So when you're acquiring these properties, are you holding on to them yourselves, or what's your exit strategy with them?
Yeah, so our 95% of the time, our exit strategy is going to be selling the property through our rent-to-own program. And that's how we're able to create these 3 paydays. Payday number 1, so we're placing a tenant buyer on the property. So someone who is looking to become a homeowner, they just need time in order to become mortgage ready or need financing. So we create our 3 paydays by taking a non-refundable deposit, which counts towards the purchase price. We then create a second payday, which is between the expenses that we have on the house and what we can collect as a monthly payment. And then the back end profit, which is pay number 3, is the principal pay down if there's a mortgage, or if it's owner financing, the payments that we've already paid to the seller. And then we did sell the property on a premium, so there's always a nice back end profit. On average, ours, we do work with associates around the country, but in-house, it's about $75,000 per house or per deal.
When you add up all 3 paydays, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, all 3 paydays. Yep. Front end tends to be somewhere around like the $23,000 to $25,000 range. The pay number 2, which is the spread, tends to fall right between say 3 and 350, and then back end tends to sit at about 35,000.
How long is there an average length at which it takes before you get your back end, Zach?
Yeah, so on average, it takes a tenant buyer about 24 to say 36 months in order to cash us out. But our terms that we agree with the seller are much longer than that. We always want to make sure we're protecting ourselves. Plus, we do our best for morally and ethical reasons in order to get our tenant buyer cashed out. We have systems in place that we're constantly tweaking. But if they were to default, because we are dealing with people, we got plenty of time, which those back end profits could be much larger if somebody defaults, but we're always looking to cash out the first one if possible.
Got it. And so for somebody listening right now, I imagine that one of the questions in their mind is, why would someone sell you their property on owner financing with little to no cash down? So, and maybe you used to think that when you're getting started. Can you address that for somebody who's probably thinking that right now?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. That's a very common question. So the people that we work with primarily are those that are looking to get the absolute most out of their property and have the ability to wait for their equity. So somebody that's, especially owner financing, it's somebody that's in a really good position. They probably have multiple houses, or this is the second home. Because if they needed the equity out of their house, they would have probably refinanced by now and pulled it out, or there would be a mortgage on it. So we're really dealing with people that are looking to get the most, and we're able to give them the most by setting up it structured this way. And this is just really more of a sifting and sorting through sellers and finding the correct ones. Because owner financing deals, little to no money down, it's not always the easiest thing to come across, but how many of those do you need a year? With our owner financing, typically it's going to go into like the 6-figure range, even on a lower end house, just because of time frame and the amount of principal pay down that you're getting off of these houses. So yeah, it's just how many do you need a year? On average, we get about 1 to 2 of them. So and that's by sifting and sorting through a good amount of people.
All right, here's another question. I imagine some people are thinking, when you're talking to the sellers and you're offering to buy it on terms, do they know what your strategy is? Do they know that you intend to put a tenant buyer in there, or is it just like, you do whatever you want to do? I don't care. Just get me out.
It depends on the seller, really. I like to gauge their comfort level. Some people want to know the back end of the business and why we do what we do, because they want to make sure, especially if we're buying it on a lease purchase, title is staying in their name. So they really want to know what's happening on the back end and make sure that they're secured for the future. Owner financing, people don't really care because we're their buyer in the long run. With a lease purchase, the end date, it's going to be actually a tenant buyer that's going to be on the purchase and sale agreement with the seller, because they're the ones that are going to actually be buying it. We're just guiding the agreement and are their backstop. But with a subject to or purchase and sale or owner financing, we're their buyer, so they don't really care as long as they're getting paid.
And I've got another question for you. When you're talking to the sellers, when you first approach them, do they understand owner financing, or you have to go through a lot of education to get them comfortable with it?
Yeah, it's 100% education process. Unless you're dealing with somebody who is savvy and has kind of been through maybe some real estate or understands financing, when you're actually speaking with people that are with more like high-end houses, like people that understand financing, that tends to be a lot easier of a conversation, because they may not understand exactly how we buy and owner financing, but they understand how money works and how to actually maximize their return on their investment. But your typical everyday seller, it's really an education process, and we actually have what we call 7 steps to a taken or 7 steps to getting the property under contract. And that really is taking a seller from not knowing anything as far as our process and then working them through an education process to make sure they understand it by the end.
So in your business model where you're buying on terms, selling on terms, contrast that with the wholesaling model where you'd put it under a contract and then wholesale it. So I know the answer here, but what's the comparison here? Why not?
Sure.
Why not just wholesale these things, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, you can if you wanted to, right? But wholesaling, there's 2 things I should bring up. So wholesaling is you're typically beating somebody down in order to get enough spread. So buying it at a really low price in order to then sell it quickly and take a smaller spread. So it tends not to fit with the sellers that we work with. We tend to focus on those that want the most for their house, have the ability to wait. So it'd be a different seller that would be more of a wholesale type person. Plus, you're throwing away a ton of profit. When we're talking about we're getting average on the 3 paydays of $75,000 compared to maybe your average wholesale profit is between like $5,000 and $10,000, unless you're really good at what you're doing with wholesaling, then you're throwing away $60,000 to $70,000 worth of profit. So I'd rather stay in the middle, control the deal, and have some and build some wealth in the background instead of just trying to flip through deals.
Yeah, exactly. All right, good. Okay, so I got one more question on the family business, and then I'm going to shift here. But all right, so you said you're sifting and sorting to find the sellers willing to do sell on terms. So what can you share with people viewing or listening right now? What's the best ways to do that?
Sure. So it's everything's in the follow-up, right? The fortune's in the follow-up. I know it's cliche, but what we're doing is we're using a couple sources. As far as, looking for sale by owners, looking for expireds, looking for rent by owners. Those are our 3 main sources of deals coming in. And then it's using your scripts and understanding how to talk with people. That's the way I sift and sort, really. It's having multiple conversations, really honing in on my scripts and then putting them in the correct bucket, which they fall in, which could be, okay, they're going into my follow-up system. Great. Now we have steps in order to take care of that and to make sure that they're a great fit for us. If they're not a good fit, then you're probably sending them like a yellow letter or some sort of mailing in order to kind of, put it as a last resort. If it's a maybe, I try to sway people to one or the other because when you're sitting in the maybe environment, you're wasting a ton of time. So if it's a maybe, I put them into the follow-up system as far as having follow-up calls and setting them up towards an appointment. And then I just kind of see what spits out the other end. But really, it's the fortunes in the follow-up and letting the follow-up system do its job.
All right. Now, okay, I'm going to drill down a little bit here. So You're talking about the phone calls you're making. You're having phone conversations. Is this a true statement? The money is really made in that phone conversation?
Oh, 100%. It's actually multiple phone conversations, really. So it's, call number 1 is finding out and gathering information. Maybe you had your VA call on it first, but so now you're just finding out the additional information that your VA wasn't able to get. And then deciding, okay, is this a deal or is this not a deal? Do they not fit? And then if they fit, then they go to the next step, which is like getting them an email, them do some additional research. We have a couple videos that allow them to educate themselves. So we use some technology to do that. And then the follow-up call is, or call number 2 is really honing in on their property and making sure we're really diving deep into, okay, does everything line up where it makes sense for me to spend more time? And if it does, then we're going on an appointment and taking a look at the property and really talking numbers at that stage of the game.
So you've got the follow-up system somewhat automated. You actually have there is a system to it.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely a system to it. That's what I was stating before. It's what we call 7 steps to a take, and it's very. We've been doing this a long time. We're doing a lot of properties, and we found out if we have a real education process and a real follow-up system, then you're not struggling to find out where that person sits. It's okay. You had your initial conversation, leads in the funnel now. Now let the funnel do its job.
Perfect. All right. So there's a lot of people listening right now. We just said or affirming what I was sharing, or asking you that 100% of the money is made on the phone. So I got some people right now that are thinking, I'm sure, well, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not very good on the phone. Does that mean they are knocked out of this business, Zach?
Absolutely not. Most of the people that we work with, our students or associates around the country, are not coming from a sales background. I didn't come from a sales background. I would show up behind a bar and people would tell me what they want for drinks, and I would have open conversations with them, and I'd pour them their drinks. It wasn't like I was constantly upselling them to make sure they get a Grey Goose martini if they wanted a kettle one. So it's learned skill. It's phone skills, appointment skills, people to people. It's all communication skills that can be learned. So in our business, it's not a salesman mentality. It's more of a question and curiosity mentality to find out what the seller is looking to accomplish. And if I can be the bridge to get them from where they are today to where they want to be, then we got a deal. But if I can't, then that's okay. And that's typically done through just open, honest conversation.
All right. Now, another follow-up question to that. So how much of it can be scripted? You mentioned scripted a little bit earlier. How much of it is scripted in this phone conversation?
Yeah, I would say probably about 50% can be scripted because a lot of it is commonly asked questions. I mean, we're going to get the same questions from most sellers. So that the first initial conversations can be very highly scripted, like 50 to 75%. And of course, you got to bob and weave because they're not always going to be in the correct order of the script. But I hate that when they refuse to follow the script. That's I know. It's tough. It's tough to keep them on track. I would say the negotiation process is more where it can't be scripted, right? Because you're really working on that individual person's needs, that individual person's property, individual person's numbers, and then figuring out whether or not your options fit best for them. With this business, we always offer multiple options. So we kind of allow them by asking them certain questions like what they're looking to net on the property once they sell it, what they expected for a monthly payment. You can almost allow them to craft up their own options and then base that around it as long as the comps and everything play out.
All right, excellent. So let's shift a little bit here. So you got that goldfish with a shark fin on him behind you. That mindset is everything, which I love that. So let's go back. When you were getting started, you're switching from personal trainer, bartender, taking, quote, this risk, and becoming a real estate entrepreneur because your salary is or your hourly rate is no longer guaranteed. So what did you learn in this process about mindset? And what does mindset even mean, Zach? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, mindset to me it's really about how, number one, you feel about yourself. I think mindset comes with self-confidence, and the goldfish clearly states it. So, yeah, right behind me it's a canvas. It's a goldfish. Underneath the water, you can see that it's a goldfish, but above the water is a shark fin. So it's all about how you perceive yourself with confidence. And then as far as the growth mindset, which is something I always like to focus on, it's just having that constant understanding that you're never going to outgrow your mindset. So I'm constantly working on myself. So every time I look at that picture, I look at it and I say, hey, if I want to reach my goals in the future, then I got to really constantly work on that mindset because it's never just going to come to me. I got to work for it. All
right. And so you're getting started. You mentioned that the risk you felt you wouldn't have a guaranteed paycheck anymore, but was that the biggest fear you had? And if not, what was your biggest fear in getting started?
Yeah, I think like everyone, right? The biggest fear is failure. It was something brand new to me. I knew that I was good at bartending. I worked myself up through the ranks out of just pure muscle and me just, I guess I'm a natural people person. So it came very easy to me, and I was taking on a brand new adventure, just like anything new. And I was entering the world of real estate entrepreneurship. So my biggest fear was failure. And could I keep up with the family and could I live up to, my own internal thoughts, which my own internal thoughts was I'm going to be a real estate billionaire, right? So we'll see one day if that pans out.
Very good. All right. Now, the fear, has the fear gone away or does it just change over time?
Oh, fear just puts on a new face, right? We're putting together a product right now with Dr. Joe Vitale because he showed up at he was one of our speakers at our event. And there's a section called fearlessness, and it's fear is, you're never going to get rid of fear. So fearlessness is really just, having an idea that is going to push you beyond that fear, or just having a little less fear than before. So it's just like the other quote, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's just, the triumph over it. So each and every one of us are afraid in our own way. And each and every day, I have new fears. But I know if I'm not like living on that constant edge of fear, then I'm not growing. So if I'm comfortable, then I know there's a problem.
Right. You gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Exactly.
So you said that you and by the way, did you already know the mindset connection before you got in real estate, or did you discover it after you got into real estate?
No, I started working on my mindset when I was probably like in college. I went through some tough times. Lost a couple friends. Lost my father to drugs up here in New England. Went through my own issues with them as well. So when I was kind of coming out of that, I needed to start focusing on my mindset in general. So that's when I discovered my first person that I started following along with mindset was Bob Proctor. Huge fan of Bob Proctor. Now I get to meet, and I was able to hang out with Dr. Joe Vitale, which was fantastic. Phenomenal guy. So that's when I discovered that. It wasn't even to gain wealth or money. It was really to bring myself out of a bad situation. So then you start to realize that there's no real difference. If you're just trying to grow, you're trying to grow. So mindset can be applied to anything.
All right, I agree. I'm in. So you mentioned you've been working on this since college, which I guess was about 2 years ago for you, but a little bit longer. But you're still a young guy. So for someone that's listening, that's not as in tune to the whole mindset connection. Is there any simple advice, or are there things that you do, or things you can direct them to, or how does someone take control of their mindset? How does someone start to do what you're just describing, learn to address the fear and how to deal with the fear?
Sure. So first, I would always constantly pour positivity into your mind, whether it's through books. YouTube has just tons of them, tons of great videos. I always go to the gym, but when I first was kind of going through this process, I would use like motivational videos to listen to instead of music. I just wanted to constantly pour good things into me. Also, journaling is fantastic. If you're anything like me, especially when I was growing up, I held everything in. So everything was just at a boiling point. Instead, now, when I got things going on in my mind, I write them down. I have my journal close to me right now. It's always near me. So when something good happens, I write it down. When something bad happens, I write it down. That way I constantly know where I'm at as far as an emotional state. So those are two things that I would highly recommend.
Perfect. And so you're out doing, you mentioned you guys are doing, was it 100 deals per year? Is that correct? I think I've read that.
We do about, so in-house.
Under 3 years. I don't know. Give me the exact stats. I'm sorry, Zach. Go ahead. Give me the exact stats.
Sure. So right now we do between 5 and 10 deals a month around the country with our associates. Our associates are people that we pair up and help them build their businesses. And we split deals on the back end. And then we do about roughly, say, 1 to 2 deals a month just in-house as well with our personal buy and sell entity here in Southern New England. So, depending on, the year, it could be 24, but it could go as high as, in 60 range. I would guess 60, 80 range as we constantly grow.
All right. So it sounds like you're growing through associates around the country, working in their local markets. Is that correct? Yeah,
that is correct. Yep. That's our primary focus.
So that sounds like a pretty cool model. Tell a little more about that model and how long have you guys been doing it that way?
Yeah, so we've been doing this now for Smart Real Estate Coaches now about 6 years old. We've been growing substantially just because of the family business now. And now we got me, my brother-in-law, Nick, and Chris that are at the top of our game. So now we're able to service a heck of a lot of people. And we have that's what separates us. Number one is we have that family model. So you don't just come in and get one so-called guru or one teacher. You get an entire family that can service you throughout your entire business. So what we do is we pair up with associates in their own market. We then help them not only get transactions done. So at the beginning, usually it's just like getting your first deal or getting your first couple deals. But as soon as we can get you to that stage, then we help you scale your business through your dream team, through different scaling technology. And we actually have a business scaling secrets event coming up in April. So that's where we actually dig into your business and feel and see how we can scale it.
Great. All right. So when you already mentioned up front, I guess the most common fear you've experienced is with the students, your associates, is fear of failure. Is that, you mentioned that was yours. Is that one you think the biggest one for your associates, or is there a different one?
Yeah, I mean, it's always some sort of form of fear of failure, right? It's can I do it in my market? Am I capable of doing this? So it may not even get to the point of they're going to fail at it. It's almost like their fear getting started first. So all of our fears, right, come down, I'd say, an umbrella of fear of failure at one stage of the game. So I would say it's a very, very common fear people have.
So what I'm leading up to then, so you're a young fella. You've been doing this for about 3 years with real estate.
Yep.
And what is the single most important thing you've learned in real estate entrepreneurship that you would share with someone that's considering getting started right now?
I would say it's just, I'm a huge fan of just taking action. Again, that's just maybe my type A. I would rather just take action and then like apologize for it later or figure out the mistakes later, but at least I got started. So I think a lot of people just have the paralysis of analysis. It's, okay, well, I'm going to look at this program and I'm going to look at this program and I'll look at this program and never get started in anything. I'm not naive enough to think that every single investor out there should, pair up with us, or that we're the best fit for, or our niche is even the best fit for. It's but you got to get started in something. So figure out what niche fits for you best. Figure out which mentor or program fits for you best, and then just start taking action. So that would just stop waiting around. It's time to start accomplishing these goals and going for your dreams.
Great advice. I agree with you. Just do it. Just do it. Go make a mess, but get something started. Get going. Just get started.
Exactly.
And I think that is the biggest hurdle. You said it, is just getting started. Just do it. Go make a mess. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Get involved with Zach and their team. They'll help you figure it out for you. So Zach, you got some resource you were sharing with me. We're getting started today. That your free book that you want to give away. Can you share people how they can take advantage of your free book and what's it all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's our Amazon best-selling book. You're going to see my father-in-law Chris's name on it. It's Real Estate on Your Terms. Again, you can find it on Amazon, but I'd rather just give it to you for free right now. Absolutely no shipping, no handling. We're not those people that say, hey, here's a free book, but actually you got to pay for shipping and handle. No, we'll pay for that because we want to make sure that we pass along our message. You can get that at freesrecbook.com. And free, and that stands for smartrealestatecoachbook.com. So freesrecbook.com. Enjoy it, and then you'll be on our list. And we actually have another phenomenal book coming out in April, which you guys will be one of the first people to know about as well. That's The New Rules of Real Estate, where me, Chris, and Nick are all co-authoring it.
Excellent. If I can help you promote that, let me know. I'd be happy to help you with that one too, Zach.
That would be fantastic, Lance. Appreciate that.
Certainly. All right, so everyone, you got that? It's let me say that back. So it's freesrecbook.com. Freesrecbook.com. That's SREC, like in Smart Real Estate Coach. And I'll put it on we'll put it on the show notes as well. So if you didn't get that, we'll have it on the show notes. Zach, this has been great. I'm really, I know your dad's doing great. Your father-in-law is doing great stuff, and obviously you're in the right hands with him. And I am envious of you starting off so young. I wish I'd had the foresight to do what you're doing at age 20-something years old. But you're doing a great job. And you're good. I agree with everything you said. So congratulations, outstanding.
Thank you very much, Lance. I appreciate it. It comes a lot from coming from you.
Yeah, I got an old guy. So no, this is great. I mean, you have really latched on to the essence of it. You got big things ahead of you. So everyone, take advantage of the free book by Zach here, free SRECbook.com. And of course, we'll have it on our archive page. Let me give that to you. It is greenlightreinvesting.com, greenlightreinvesting.com. Go look. There's the archives that you can listen to the recording of this. You can see the show notes for this episode, and you can see other resources and other free stuff available to you at greenlightreinvesting.com. So Zach, again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Lance. Have a great day, my man.
All right. Everyone, this is Lance Edwards with Zach Beach, greenlightrei.com. Until next time, go make your life a successful real estate lifestyle. Take care, everyone. So long.
You've been listening to The Expert with Lance Edwards. Let us now blatantly and shamelessly bribe you toward creating your own real estate lifestyle by offering you a whole bunch of free stuff. Go to greenlightreinvesting.com and get you some free stuff and this session's show notes.